June 3, 2025, 2:14 p.m. I'm behind the bar at Starbucks number 4721 in downtown Seattle. Pike Place, the tourist corridor, usually our busiest location. My store manager, Patricia, comes out of the back office. Her face is ashen. She's holding her phone like it's a live grenade. "Everyone, we need to close early today. Corporate announcement. All employees, back room, now." 17 of us crowd into the small break room. Patricia puts her phone on speaker and plays the recorded message from Starbucks headquarters. Effective immediately, Starbucks Corporation will be closing 412 stores across the United States, eliminating 900 corporate positions, and implementing immediate hiring freezes across all remaining locations. This difficult decision follows 6 consecutive quarters of declining sales and unsustainable cost increases resulting from federal coffee tariff policies. The message continues, but I stop hearing it. My legs go weak. I sit down hard on a metal folding chair. 412 stores, 900 corporate employees. And how many baristas? How many shift supervisors? How many store managers? Patricia turns off the recording. Her voice cracks. "They're emailing us the closure list in the next hour." I don't know if we're on it. My name is Cassandra Reeves. I'm 34 years old. I've worked for Starbucks for 9 years, barista to shift supervisor to assistant manager. And this is the story of how Trump's 50% coffee tariffs didn't protect American business. They obliterated it. And how Chinese competitors moved in while Starbucks burned, forcing me to make an impossible choice: stay and watch my career die, or flee to Toronto, where coffee chains weren't being destroyed by their own government's policies. Let me take you back to March 2025, before the tariff apocalypse, before Luckin Coffee opened its first American stores, before everything collapsed. I started at Starbucks in 2016, entry-level barista in Tacoma, worked my way up, shift supervisor in 2018, assistant manager in 2021, senior assistant manager in 2024. I was on track for store manager by 2026, district manager by 2028. It wasn't glamorous, but it was a real career. Starbucks offered competitive wages. I was making $52,000 annually. Full benefits, health insurance, stock options, 401k matching. Education benefits. They paid for my business administration degree at University of Washington. Career pathway, clear advancement opportunities. Stability. Starbucks had grown for 40 consecutive years. My financial situation was solid. Annual salary, $52,000. Starbucks stock, $14,200, accumulated over 9 years. 401k, $38,500. Savings, $8,900. Rent, $1,650 per month. Seattle isn't cheap. Student loans, $0, thanks to Starbucks education benefit. Monthly expenses, approximately $3,200. Monthly surplus, $600. I wasn't rich, but I was building something. I had a career trajectory. I had equity in the company. I had a future. My partner James worked as a software developer. Between us, we cleared $140,000 annually. We were planning to buy a condo in 2026. Talking about kids, building a life. Starbucks was more than a job. It was my identity. 9 years of my life. Thousands of drinks made. Hundreds of employees trained. Customers who knew my name. A green apron that meant something. Until Trump decided that looking tough on trade was more important than the livelihoods of 350,000 American Starbucks employees. April 8, 2025. Trump announces via Truth Social, of course. Massive tariffs on coffee imports. 50% on all coffee beans. American businesses will adjust. No more sending billions to Brazil and Colombia. America first. 50% on coffee. The one commodity that Starbucks, that every American coffee company cannot source domestically because coffee doesn't grow in the United States. The business case for coffee tariffs was so absurdly stupid that even Trump's own economic advisors reportedly opposed it. But Trump wanted to look tough on Latin America. He wanted headlines. He wanted to punish countries he believed weren't respecting America. The economics were simple and catastrophic. Starbucks coffee costs before tariffs. Annual coffee bean purchases, approximately 680 million pounds. Average cost, $1.85 per pound. Total annual coffee spend, $1.26 billion. After 50% tariffs, same 680 million pounds. New cost, $2.78 per pound, with tariff. Total annual coffee spend, $1.89 billion. Additional cost, $630 million annually. That's $630 million in new costs that Starbucks couldn't absorb without destroying profitability. The company had three options: absorb the cost, instant bankruptcy; pass it to customers, price increases that drive away traffic; close locations to cut operating costs. They chose option 3, obviously, because options 1 and 2 were economic suicide. But Trump didn't care about that math. He didn't care that coffee doesn't grow in America. He didn't care that tariffs on essential imported commodities don't bring jobs back. They just make American businesses uncompetitive. May brought the first wave of store closures. 180 locations, 7,200 employees. Our Pike Place store survived that round, but we felt the impact immediately. Corporate mandated price increases. Tall lattes went from $4.75 to $6.25. Grande from $5.45 to $7.15. Venti from $5.95 to $7.15. $7.85. $1.50 to $2 increase per drink. Customers noticed. Immediately. $6 for a tall latte? Are you serious? This is ridiculous. I'm going to Dunkin'. Why are prices so high? I wanted to say, because Trump put a 50% tariff on coffee beans, and Starbucks had to pass costs to customers or go bankrupt. But corporate policy was strict. Don't discuss politics. Just apologize and serve the coffee. Traffic dropped 23% in the first 3 weeks. Sales collapsed. Hours got cut. 3 of our full-time baristas went to part-time. 2 quit because they couldn't pay bills on reduced hours. The atmosphere went from energetic to desperate. We were fighting for survival, but nobody would acknowledge why. And then, in late May, the news broke. Luckin Coffee was opening its first U.S. stores. Luckin Coffee, China's coffee giant. They'd been planning American expansion for years. Then Trump handed them the perfect opportunity. June 1, 2025. Luckin opened its first 15 U.S. locations. New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle. Modern stores, sleek design, mobile ordering, and prices that made Starbucks look like highway robbery. Luckin's prices: small latte, $1.99. Medium latte, $2.49. Large latte, $2.99. How were they doing it? Simple. They sourced coffee through China's existing trade relationships. Vietnamese coffee, Indonesian coffee, African coffee. Countries without U.S. tariffs because they had trade agreements with China that bypassed American policy. Luckin wasn't subject to Trump's 50% coffee tariffs because they didn't import through U.S. channels. They imported through Chinese-controlled supply chains, then opened retail locations in America selling coffee at prices Starbucks couldn't match. The competitive math was brutal. Starbucks tall latte, $6.25, forced by tariff costs. Luckin small latte, $1.99, no tariff impact. Price difference, $4.26 per drink. In a commodity business like coffee, $4.26 price difference is apocalyptic. Customers don't care about brand loyalty when competitor products are 68% cheaper. Within 2 weeks of Luckin's opening, our Pike Place store traffic dropped another 31%. We went from 1,200 transactions daily to 650. Back in that break room, Patricia finally got the email. The closure list. She scrolled through it, hands shaking. "We're not on the immediate list," she said quietly. "But 412 stores are closing by end of July. Another wave expected in September. Corporate says, ongoing assessment of location viability." "So we might close later?" someone asked. "We're probably closing later," I said. Everyone looked at me. "Our traffic is down 54% in 2 months. We're not profitable anymore. We're just not on the first closure list." Patricia didn't contradict me. She couldn't. We all knew the math. That night, I went home and told James everything. "They're closing 412 stores. We survived this round, but we won't survive the next. And even if somehow we do, my hours are getting cut. We're losing staff. And Chinese competitors are opening locations with prices we can't compete against." "So what are you going to do?" "I don't know. Look for another job, I guess. Except every coffee company in America is facing the same tariff problem. Dunkin', Peet's, local cafes. Everyone's getting destroyed." James pulled out his laptop. "What about Canada?" "What about it?" "Canada doesn't have coffee tariffs. Starbucks Canada is still thriving. Tim Hortons is stable. Coffee prices haven't exploded there because their government isn't sabotaging the coffee industry." I stared at him. "You're saying we should move to Canada?" "I'm saying you have 9 years of Starbucks experience and management credentials. Canadian coffee chains are hiring. My tech skills transfer easily. Toronto's hiring software developers like crazy. We could actually have futures there instead of watching our industries collapse here." Over the next week, I researched obsessively, and what I found was simultaneously infuriating and eye-opening. U.S. coffee industry collapse, April-June 2025. Starbucks, 412 store closures, 900 corporate layoffs, 17,000 plus retail employee layoffs. Dunkin', 280 store closures announced. Peet's Coffee, 43 store closures. Independent cafes, 1,200 plus closures, estimated. Total industry job losses, 43,000 plus, and growing cause, 50% coffee tariffs, making American coffee retail economically impossible. Canadian coffee industry, same period. Starbucks. Canada, opening 45 new locations. Tim Hortons, stable and expanding. Second Cup, growing market share. Independent cafes, thriving. Hiring, actively recruiting experienced coffee professionals. Reason, no tariffs on coffee imports, stable trade policy, government that doesn't sabotage retail industries. Luckin Coffee's American Invasion, June. Openings, 15 locations. New York, LA, SF, Seattle, Chicago. July, planned openings, 35 more locations. September projected, 80 total U.S. locations. Pricing, 60 to 70% cheaper than Starbucks strategy. Capture American market share while U.S. competitors collapse under tariff pressure. Result, American coffee jobs going to Chinese company because Trump made American companies uncompetitive. The irony was suffocating. Trump claimed his tariffs would protect American business from Chinese competition. Instead, his coffee tariffs destroyed American coffee companies while Chinese competitors moved in to fill the vacuum. July 15, 2025. Second closure announcement. 290 more stores. Our Pike Place location was on the list. Closure date, August 31st. Final day of operation. Patricia gathered us again. "I'm so sorry. I fought for us. Corporate says the location isn't profitable anymore. Traffic is down 61% since April. We can't sustain operations. What about severance? Someone asked. 1 week pay for every year of service, plus accrued vacation payout, plus COBRA healthcare for 6 months if you want it. I did the math. 9 years of service meant 9 weeks severance. That's about $9,000. With my savings, that gave me maybe 4 months before complete financial collapse. 4 months to find a new career in an industry that was imploding nationwide. That night, I made the decision. I told James, let's move to Canada. Are you sure? I'm sure that staying here means watching my career die. Starbucks is collapsing. Coffee retail in America is collapsing. Trump's tariffs destroyed the industry. Meanwhile, Canadian coffee chains are hiring. Toronto has opportunities. We can actually build futures there. What about your Starbucks stock? Your 401k? The stock's already down 34% since the tariff announcement. It's going to keep falling. I'll sell what I can, roll the 401k into an IRA, and we'll start over. It's better than staying here and going broke. I applied to 11 coffee chains in Toronto, Starbucks Canada, Tim Hortons, Second Cup, independent upscale cafes. Sent resumes emphasizing 9 years Starbucks experience, management credentials, business degree. Got 7 interview requests within 10 days. Tim Hortons was first. Video interview with their regional director. Your experience is impressive, she said. American Starbucks credentials carry weight. But why are you looking to relocate? I was honest. Trump's coffee tariffs destroyed American coffee retail. My store is closing. The entire U.S. industry is collapsing. Canada doesn't have those problems. I want to work somewhere that my experience matters and the government isn't actively sabotaging the industry. Fair answer. When can you start? I need to relocate first. Maybe October? We can work with that. We're opening a new flagship location in downtown Toronto in November. Senior shift supervisor position, 48,000 Canadian dollars annually, about 35,500 US dollars. Benefits, management track, stable company. Interested? 48,000 Canadian dollars was less than my 52,000 USD Starbucks salary. But it was employment in a stable industry. It was a future. It was better than unemployment in America's collapsing coffee sector. I'm very interested. James got 3 job offers from Toronto tech companies. He chose a fintech startup offering 95,000 Canadian dollars, 70,000 US dollars equivalent. Between us, we'd make about 105,000 USD equivalent. Less than our Seattle combined income, but enough to live comfortably in Toronto. By mid-August, we'd accepted jobs, found an apartment in Toronto, cheaper than Seattle surprisingly, and begun the immigration paperwork. August 31st, 2025. Final day of operations at Starbucks. Number 4721, Pike Place, Seattle. We opened at 5 a.m. like always. By 6 a.m., there was a line out the door. Not because business was booming, because people wanted to say goodbye. Regular customers, tourists, former employees, people who'd been coming to this location for years. They knew it was the last day. "This is really the end?" asked Mr. Chen, who'd gotten a grande Pike Place roast every morning for 12 years. "This is the end," I confirmed. "Because of the tariffs?" "Because of the tariffs." He shook his head. "This is insane. You didn't fail. The company didn't fail. The government failed you." He was right, but being right doesn't pay rent. We closed at 8 p.m. Patricia locked the door for the final time. 17 employees hugged, cried, exchanged contact information. 9 years of my life, ending because Trump thought 50% coffee tariffs would somehow help America. I walked out onto Pike Place with my final paycheck, my severance check, and my Starbucks stock certificates that had lost $4,800 in value since April. Behind me was Starbucks number 4721, empty, dark. Soon to be replaced by a Luckin Coffee location, because Chinese competitors were thriving while American companies burned. Ahead was Toronto. unknown, foreign, but offering what America couldn't anymore, a coffee industry that wasn't being systematically destroyed by its own government. September 28, 2025. James and I loaded our belongings into a U-Haul, said goodbye to Seattle, drove north on I-5. At the border crossing in Blaine, Washington, the Canadian officer reviewed our work permits. Purpose of move? Employment. Coffee industry in Seattle collapsed due to U.S. tariff policies. Got jobs in Toronto. He nodded, stamped our documents. You're not the first Americans we've seen moving for coffee work. Welcome to Canada. As we drove away from the border, into British Columbia, I looked back once. America. The country I was born in. The country that decided coffee tariffs were more important than 43,000 coffee industry jobs. You okay? James asked. No. But I will be. It's November now. I've been working at Tim Hortons' flagship downtown Toronto location for 6 weeks. Here's what I've learned. The good. Coffee prices are normal. No tariff-driven inflation. Industry is stable. Stores are opening, not closing. My experience is valued. Already being considered for assistant manager promotion. Work-life balance is better. Canadian labor culture is less brutal than American retail. Healthcare isn't tied to employment. That's genuinely life-changing. The bad. I make less money. 48,000 Canadian dollars versus 52,000 US dollars I was making. I'm not at Starbucks. 9 years of company-specific career advancement, gone. I'm starting over at 34. Should be managing my own store, not supervising shifts. My Starbucks stock is worthless. Company's down 58% since April. I miss Seattle, miss my friends, miss feeling like I was home. The infuriating. Trump still claims tariffs are working. Starbucks has now closed 680-plus stores total. Luckin Coffee has 127 U.S. locations and expanding rapidly. American coffee workers continue getting laid off. Canadian coffee industry is hiring displaced Americans monthly. The numbers from American coffee retail are catastrophic. By October 2025, Starbucks, 680 store closures, 27,000-plus job losses. Dunkin', 410 store closures, 16,000-plus job losses. Independent cafes, 1,800-plus closures, 22,000-plus job losses. Total coffee industry, 65,000-plus jobs eliminated. Cause, exclusively. Trump's 50% coffee tariffs. Meanwhile, Luckin Coffee, U.S. Locations, 127 and expanding. U.S. employees, 3,400 and hiring. Market strategy. Undercut, collapsed American competitors. Price advantage, 65% cheaper than Starbucks due to tariff-free supply chains. Result, Chinese company capturing American market share while American companies die. And Canadian coffee sector. Job growth, 8,400 new coffee retail positions. American talent recruitment, 2,200-plus displaced U.S. coffee workers. Hired industry stability. Thriving due to tariff-free trade policy. Government support. Actively recruiting American coffee professionals. Trump's tariffs didn't protect American coffee jobs. They exported them to Canada and handed market share to Chinese competitors. People ask, do you regret leaving Starbucks? Wrong question. Right question. Why did Trump's coffee tariffs make it impossible to have a coffee career in America? I didn't want to leave Starbucks. I didn't want to leave Seattle. I didn't want to abandon 9 years of career advancement and start over in a foreign country at 34. But Trump decided that looking tough with tariffs was more important than understanding basic economics. Coffee doesn't grow in America. Tariffs on coffee don't bring jobs back. They just make American coffee companies uncompetitive while Chinese competitors move in. Starbucks didn't fail. I didn't fail. 65,000 American coffee workers didn't fail. American trade policy failed us. Got a message yesterday from my former coworker Maria. She worked at Pike Place for 7 years, single mom, 2 kids. Cass, I'm desperate. Been unemployed since September. Applied to 47 jobs, no callbacks. Seattle coffee industry is dead. Can you help me get to Toronto? I'm trying. Sending her Tim Hortons contacts, helping with resume. But she has kids in school, elderly parents here. Relocating is complicated. She's one of 65,000 skilled workers, experienced professionals, people who built careers in coffee retail, now unemployed because Trump thought 50% coffee tariffs would somehow help America. Meanwhile, I'm serving coffee at Tim Hortons in Toronto, making less money than I did, starting over, building a new career in a new country, because America decided that trade war posturing was more important than American workers. This is my life now. Canadian Tim Hortons employee, former Starbucks career professional. Living proof that Trump's tariffs didn't protect American business. They destroyed it. I'm 34 years old. I gave Starbucks 9 years. Now I'm in Canada, watching Luckin Coffee expand across America while Starbucks closes 680-plus stores. And somewhere in Beijing, Luckin executives are celebrating their American expansion, funded entirely by Trump's tariff policy, making American competitors economically impossible. If that doesn't tell you everything about Trump's trade war failure, nothing will.